back to the Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witzak.
I'm Rory Farrell.
And we're going to do the same thing we do every week. We're going to drink a beer and then discuss mortgage things. So I picked the beer out this week because we ran out of fridge beers downstairs.
Yeah, we didn't. Well, we shot earlier in the week than we typically do. I mean, we always shoot on Friday, right?
Yes.
Put it out on Friday. But so I didn't bring in a beer this week, and I said, all right, Mike's up.
Mike's up. So I went out yesterday.
Good choice, by the way.
Thank you. I picked out 2 beers before this one, and they were both at 10%. And I was like, I don't know if I should do that. So then I found this one, and it's called Lizard King. Shout out Core 6. If you know what that means, you know what that means. But so I saw this one, Lizard King. It brings back memories of high school. So I was like, I'll get this. And it's Pipeworks Brewing Company out of Chicago, Illinois.
Look at you, man.
Yeah, dude.
You can read.
I can read. Never been to Chicago, but I would like to.
Me neither. 6%. It's considered a pale ale. It's one of those things that's a semantics thing. It's 6%, so it's like bordering on IPA too.
Yep.
So and
It's mosaic.
Mosaic, yeah, which means
The type of hops they use.
there you go. He's learning, ladies and gentlemen. You had made fun of me earlier in an earlier episode about Mosaic being one of my favorite hops and the fact that I even have a favorite hop. But yeah, Mosaic's one of my favorite for sure. It's tropical, it's fruity.
I was about to say it smells very fruity.
Yeah, it's going to have some orange, some pineapple, some mango.
Ooh, I did make a good choice. I didn't think I made a good choice.
I'm not sure you're going to like the flavor.
Really?
It's a hoppy pale or a hoppy IPA.
All right, I'm down to try it. Let's try it.
Cheers.
Cheers, dude. All right. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not overwhelming. It's very balanced.
We've had that. Look, I'm sure that's a great brewing company from last week and everything. Death and Taxes or whatever the name of the beer was. That's just not me. It's just not me. You know what I mean? This is more up my alley.
That's fair. I'm actually surprised that this is more up your alley. I was going for, you like stouts and porters and you like lagers, so I thought that was going to be right up your alley.
Apparently, I don't like them together.
Apparently, you like IPAs now. We're turning them.
I am turning. You know, I've been switching up from the Coronas. I drink Miller Lights now. You know, I'm really expanding my palate.
Can you get the audio on that?
Yeah, probably. I can turn it up. Too good.
That's even a difference.
It's really not. No, it's not.
All right, cool. So
it's actually
good choice. I like it. This is something that I would drink like on a regular basis, and it's widely available. Even though they're out of Chicago, you see them pretty much.
Well, yeah, I bought it right down the road in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so. Easy drinking, palatable. Yeah, bright, citrusy.
And
I like it. I dig it.
Yeah, and actually, funny story. The reason I've been drinking Miller Lights is a mortgage-related thing. I had bought a client and a friend of mine a case of Miller Lights because he's like, yeah, that's what I want for settlement. I was like, okay, sir. And then he never took it. And he's like, yeah, I don't want it. I'm like, okay. So now it just sits in my apartment. We've just been drinking them here and there.
There you go.
All right. So let's dive into the mortgage related topic.
Yeah, again, not that this is necessarily timely in general, but specific to something that I've been working with over the past couple of weeks is appraisals, low appraisals, how to argue appraisals, how to get second appraisals, things like that. So I had one recently that, let's start off by saying appraisals are not an exact science.
Yes.
They're not. They're not fully objective. They are a little subjective. And they're done by humans, and humans make mistakes, and there are good appraisers and there's bad appraisers.
Absolutely. I have experienced it on my own property.
Yeah. And
you're experiencing it.
And we only have so much control over the appraisers and the appraisal report.
Yeah.
We've largely been, from a mortgage broker perspective, we've largely been taken out of that
equation for sure.
That equation, obviously, because there's been corruption and collusion, and in the past, there's a reason why this rule is in place.
I wouldn't even say we have like any sort of control. I think it mainly we can order appraisals and we can, in certain instances, argue or provide other comps for the appraisal process. But that's pretty much all that we can do to get involved with it.
And if you get an appraiser that you don't know or don't like, you can have a low appraised value, which doesn't happen often, but it happened. Like I said, we're just out of control for this part of the the home buying process. So I had one go out to an appraiser that we didn't know. We were using a lender that just had really good rates that we just don't use that often. So in turn, that appraisal management company, that lender, we just don't use that often. So it turns out that it was just a bad appraiser came in like way low, and obviously we didn't like it. The the agents were like, this is a terrible, like we all agreed that they didn't use good comps. They didn't use good adjustments. So we were able to basically get another appraisal, argue that this one just wasn't good.
Yep.
And send another appraisal out there. So the point is just when you have relationships with lenders, and appraisal management companies, it's such an important key to knowing what's going to be allowable per lender, because every lender can decide what the process is to argue or to order a new one, or how flexible they are on that.
Yep.
Maybe they'll require you to do a desktop approval or a desktop appraisal. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, and a lot of different lenders have different stipulations on it. So
yeah, interesting.
So, I mean, it was just one of those things where, again, it's so much of this business is relationship based, and
oh yeah,
having options and knowing what the best option is per client.
First off, having an option at your bank to go to and say, hey, we want to argue this appraisal, because some banks will just say, no, you can only get this one appraisal, or they won't listen to your argument. That's number one. Number two, having options of getting a second appraisal and working with an AMC and working with the manager over there and figuring out how we can get an appraisal taken care of. I mean, there's just
and quickly too, because a lot of times by the time that you have an issue with an appraisal, maybe you're up against a commitment date
2 weeks,
like
or so you're 2 weeks out from closing, or you have a commitment date, and there's a lot that goes into that process. But just making sure that you order the appraisal as quick as you can, get it done as soon as you can, and you have a good appraisal management company that you have a relationship with. And they're also making that change on October 1st. We're requiring 2 appraisal management companies.
A minimum 2 appraisal management companies per lender.
Yeah, and they kind of get randomly assigned. So,
we're even more out of the loop at that point.
Yeah. So it's all kind of up in the air, but we do whatever we can to kind of make the process smooth and figure it out and do what we can.
And when we run into issues, we have relationships with lenders to make sure that, hey, you're talking to the right people, and you're sending loans to the right lenders that will allow you to make this change or to, argue it, because not every lender will make it that easy.
Yeah.
In fact, some will really push back on you.
Yeah, for sure. So, very nice.
Yeah, that's it. It was just that came up with the past 2 weeks came up on one of my loans, and I'll talk about how that was resolved in my win, but I thought it was an important thing to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm done with the appraisal topic. What's your win, mister?
The win was that we were able to, this thing came in like $90,000 low, and it wasn't like it's not like they overbid and won it by $100,000 or something like that. Like, it was just kind of like the sales price should have been.
I don't remember hearing about this. When did this happen?
It was in the last 2 weeks, but.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
But long story short, we all looked at the appraisal and we're like, this is garbage. This is, comps aren't good. The adjustments aren't good. So we went to the lender and we said, hey, these are the reasons why we feel it's bad. We were able to order a new appraisal, and we got a good appraiser, and it came in a couple grand higher. Mm-hmm. So then the report went to the lender, and the lender's like, that's great, but it's got a high risk score, like a higher than the threshold that they allow. And that comes directly from Fannie Mae, right? Yes. So it was like a 4.2, and their threshold for just blind,
is a 4. Yeah.
So then they required that we have a desktop review of that. So basically, a third-party appraiser would then look at that and say, "Hey, I have nothing to gain or lose from this, but is this a good appraisal?" And that desktop then produced the fact that this is a good appraisal.
Yep.
And it actually brought it down like $4 or $5 grand or something like that. But that was already at list price. So
I do remember this now.
Yes, or at contract price. So all in all, it ended up, we had an issue, followed the proper steps. We had a lender that worked with us on it. We got it back to the place where we needed it to get, all through the proper channels, and
Yahoo!
We had success with it. So
nice, very good.
So it doesn't happen often that appraisals come in low, but when they do, it feels good to get the win on that.
Yeah, for sure, big time.
Yeah. So, Michael, win?
My win? I don't know.
You're crushing it by comparison this week.
I guess. Yeah, I wouldn't really say that much. I got contract came over for some buyers this week, so that's a win. Been working with them. They really want to get out of their current living situation and move into a house. So it's good to see they're doing that. I guess that's one win.
Any contract that comes through that you win the business, and just getting a house under contract in this market, specifically this week, the past couple of weeks has been so slow.
And I've been very blessed. I've been doing a lot of pre-qualifications, and then I was working this weekend a decent amount, writing up estimates, doing pre-quals. So, it has been, knock on wood, it's been a little busy for me, so I'll take that whenever I can get it. And other than that, I think, I'm supposed to have coffee with the realtor tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. Haven't heard back. So that could be a win. We'll see. TBD. I'm going to start rating the beers at the end of these podcasts because we really don't have too many listeners at the end here. And I figured I can give a number score. So this one I genuinely enjoyed a lot. I did like this beer. I'm going to give it maybe a 7-8. It wasn't like top tier, would buy like a 30 rack of these beers and like love them.
But go ahead.
But yeah, I know you couldn't. I'm just saying, like, if you could, I wouldn't do that. But I did like it. 7-8, solid score. Very good score.
All right, so it's on a scale of death and taxes all the way up to the high end of Corona.
I wouldn't say death and taxes is the worst one we've had, but yeah, Corona Premier, it's a 10 out of 10 beer. It's like a 9.8.
Just so any listeners, they know the scale of how they should be judging what you're talking about.
Yeah, don't listen. Look, it's like Dave Portnoy One Bite, right? It's like Dave Portnoy's One Bite pizza review. I don't really think I agree with many of his scores. But hey, look, everybody's individual. You have your own opinion. That's what opinions are, So that's my opinion.
All right, I like it. Hey, I enjoyed the beer. Perfect for kind of nice sunny day, summer.
Amen.
6% crisp, clean.
We're in that weird part of the season now where it's like cold in the morning, super hot in the afternoon. So you got to figure out what you're wearing, what you're drinking. This is a good drink.
I think some sours might be coming up.
Not for me.
No? All right, cool. Well, we'll figure that out.
Maybe for actual beer enthusiasts.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening and watching, we'll see you next week.
Yes. Later, guys. Thank you.
Bye.